under the high patronage of His Majesty King Mohammed VI, we are glad to have you here for the ICOH Congress 2024. Please stand up for the Moroccan national hymn. Thank you, everyone. I invite on the stage our two first guests, Professor Sankyu Kong, ICOH President, and Professor El-Kolti Abdeljalil, ICOH 2024 Congress President.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear my fellow ICOH members and the distinguished guests. As the president of ICOH, I warmly welcome all of you to participate in ICOH 2024 Marrakech Congress. Thank you, Professor Abdeljalil El-Kolti, for preparing this wonderful Congress. I extend my sincere gratitude Ms. Wafa Asri, General Secretary of Ministry of the Economic Inclusion, Small Business, Employment Skill, Morocco. Ms. Fanfan Keirangwa, Regional Director of Africa and Assistant Director General of ILO. Dr. Maria Neira, Director of Environment, Climate Change and Health, ILO, WHO headquarters. Mr. Karim Sheikh, President of the Human Capital Commission, General Confederation of Moroccan Enterprises. Ms. Ana Del Cruz, Secretary General of IRLI. Dr. Samantha Connell, President of Iowa. For your presence and delivering congratulatory addresses. Your contribution has been enormous value to our Congress, and we are truly honored to have had with us. ICOH has been hosting triennial congresses for 100 years since its establishment in 1906. The historical event celebrated the successful prevention of occupational fatality during the construction of a tunnel between Italy and Switzerland. ICOH congresses have served as a platform of exchanging new knowledge and experience aimed at protecting and improving workers' health. This reflects the diverse composition of the occupation membership, which include experts from various fields such as in occupational medicine, nursing, epidemiology, psychology, hygiene, toxicology, ergonomics, sociology, and administration, and others. The Congress plays a vital role in fostering collaboration among countries and the region. ICOH has four main pillars: scientific committees, national secretary responsible for country and area, sustaining members comprising public and national institute, and affiliate members who are academic occupational health societies. The 38 scientific committees covered a diverse area in occupational health, classified by the organ, by hazard, by sectors, by system, and by disciplines. It is my pleasure to host in the 31st ICOH Congress in Morocco for third time in Africa, where occupational health is growing alongside economic growth. Hosting the ICOH Congress presents numerous opportunities for enhancing workers' health in the country and in the region, particularly in growing economy like Morocco. I'm confident that ICOH Congress will offer a rich and enlightening experience for all attendees. The diverse range of special sessions, free oral and poster communication will undoubtedly contribute to deeper understanding of occupational health. The Global Policy Forum will provide a direction for occupational health in low and middle income countries. Collecting thought from all, I hope that the ICOH Marrakech Statement Declaration will come by the end of the Congress. I thank you again for your participation, and I look forward to enlightening discussion, valuable insight, lasting connections that will emerge from the Congress. Make the Congress your own and take all benefit for workers' health worldwide. Additionally, enjoy your stay in Marrakech, Morocco, a legendary city with a history that spans 1,000 years and continue to shine brightly in the world. I declare that ICOH 2021 Marrakech Congress is now open. Enjoy your Congress. Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Shukran.
Thank you, Mr. Sarkiu. Professor El-Khalchi.
Good evening. Madame la secrétaire générale, oui, je vous vois, vous êtes là. Merci d'être là. Madame Fanfan Kaliongwa, merci d'être là. Surtout que vous venez des contrées un peu plus lointaines. Madame Marianera, c'est un plaisir de vous avoir avec nous. Vous venez de contrées moins lointaines, mais néanmoins, vous avez fait le voyage. Merci beaucoup. C'est Karim Cheikh, merci d'être avec nous. Miss Anna Del Cruz, General Secretary of IALI, we are welcome, and Samantha Connell, President of ICOH. Distinguished colleague and esteemed guest and fellow advocate for occupational health, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, on behalf of the International Congress on Occupational Health 2024 Organizing Committee and the participant, I extend our deepest gratitude for the immense honor of the high patronage of His Majesty the King Mohammed VI. Your Majesty patronage elevates the significance of ICOH 2024. Your unwavering commitment to the well-being of citizens resonates deeply with all those involving to improve occupational health research and practice in workplace worldwide. Dear colleague, it's with a great pleasure and the pride that I welcome you all to this gathering, which coincides with the World Day for Health and Safety at Work, making the kickoff of the activity of our Congress, ICOH 2024 in Marrakech. That it is. We've made it. What a long and exciting journey. At least 2003, 2018, and now. On behalf of the organizing committee, I express my sincere gratitude to each of the 1,800 participants and contributors today. Just look around you. You are sincerely, thank you very much. Who make ICOH 2020 an extraordinary meeting, especially after all this event that our world is experiencing in the post-COVID pandemics. ICOH 2024 offers more than 350 hours of contents, 28 scientific credit, more than 1,800 contributions from 90 countries, with 10 plenary, 2 semi-plenary, 150 special and oral sessions, and 12 visual sessions with more than 900 e-posters. And in a few minutes, the keynote of Mrs. Elizabeth Wedderpass. Your active participation, insight, contribution, and enthusiastic engagement throughout the event were truly inspiring innovation and excellence. Your presence enriched every aspect of ICOH 2024. The evolving global landscape poses challenge and opportunity for worker well-being. Make effective the commitment to make healthy and safety a right and fundamental principle. Fight against the impact of climate change. Assess emerging risks are only aspects highlighted of a myriad of risks for workers worldwide. Our commitment to advance occupational health research offers hope and progress. Together, ICOH members with stakeholders across sector and discipline, we possess a wealth of knowledge, expertise, and resource that can be leveraged to address the complex health issue face worker. Let us harness the collective expertise and resource of our network to identify concrete steps and strategies for translating research funding into real-world impact. I'm confident that the insight generated through our deliberation will not only inform policy and practice, but also inspire future generation of researchers and practitioners to continue the vital work of advancing occupational health and safety worldwide. Before closing, I want to express my big thanks to 3 of my colleagues who share with me this adventure. I saw 2 of them, but the third one I don't know where is it. First, Professor Farid Shihab, former Dean of Faculty of Casablanca, Medicine Faculty of Casablanca, former Dean Professeur Mustafa Abou Marouf. Mustafa, tu lèves la main s'il te plaît. Chut, je sais que tu es là. Bon. And the third one, the last but not the least, Madame Professor Suha Sahrawi, the current Dean of the faculty. Medicine Faculty of Casablanca is the other partner of the organization with MOHA, Moroccan Occupational Health Association, is the partner to organize this beautiful moment. As said in closing, I want to express my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for your tireless dedication, passion, because with passion we nothing, and leadership in advancing the cause of occupational health. Your presence here today is a testament to the power of collaboration and collective determination to create better, safer, and sustainable future for workers everywhere. In the end, Madame la Secrétaire Générale, dear colleagues and guests, dear national and international partners, dear localities, authorities of Marrakech, dear journalists, dear ICOH 2024 committee member, thank you all for your precious support and commitment. And may the ICOH Congress 2024 be a resourcing success. Just before finished, I want to congratulate and thank the officer of the ICOH, especially Diana Gagriardi. Thank you, Diana, for all.
Thank you, professors. As we continue with our ceremony, it's my pleasure to introduce our guest, Mrs. Ansari, General Secretary who represents the Minister Younes Sekouri, Minister of Economic Inclusion, Small Businesses, Employment and Skills, whose commitment to occupational health and safety has shaped policy to improve workers' lives. Please, Mrs. Ansari. I just want to add something. The presentation is going to be in French.
Mesdames et messieurs, bonjour. Honorable assistant, Monsieur le Président du Congrès, Monsieur le Président de la Commission internationale de la santé du travail, Monsieur le Président de l'ICOH 2024, honorable assistante, chacun en sa qualité et en son nom. Je vais lire le mot à la place de Monsieur le ministre qui, normalement, avait prévu de faire le déplacement à Marrakech. D'ailleurs, je vous souhaite la bienvenue au Maroc pour ceux qui ont fait ce déplacement et aussi à Marrakech. Elle avait prévu de faire ce déplacement et d'assister aux travaux de ce congrès, mais il a été retenu car il mène les négociations liées au dialogue social à la veille du 1er mai. Comme vous le savez tous, le Maroc a fait le choix d'institutionnaliser ce dialogue social et donc on est sur le rang d'avril 2024 et il était obligé de poursuivre ce dialogue dans le cadre des négociations avec les partenaires sociaux. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salamu ala ashrafil mursalin. Honorables Messieurs les Présidents du Congrès, honorables assistances, Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est avec une immense joie que je m'exprime aujourd'hui à la place de Monsieur le Ministre devant vous à l'occasion de l'ouverture de ce 34e Congrès international de santé au travail, l'ICOH 2024. Organisé sous le haut patronage de Sa Majesté le roi Mohammed VI, que Dieu l'assiste, sous le thème « Améliorer la recherche et les pratiques en santé au travail, combler les gaps ». Il s'agit là d'un événement majeur, organisé par divers organismes que je salue vivement pour cette rencontre exceptionnelle, la première de cette envergure au Maroc, et constitue un rendez-vous incontournable sur la scène mondiale de la santé au travail. Et pour cause, plus de 1500 participants provenant de 90 pays, incluant des professionnels, des chercheurs, des académiciens, des décideurs politiques et des représentants d'organisations internationales y sont attendus. Ce qui témoigne de l'intérêt majeur porté au sujet de la santé au travail et à qui je souhaite la bienvenue au Maroc. Je félicite aussi les organisateurs pour le programme riche prévu lors de ce congrès et dont la première conférence introductive coïncide avec la Journée mondiale de la santé et la sécurité au travail qui promeut la prévention des accidents et maladies professionnelles dans le monde entier. Le Forum politique mondial de l'ICOH 2024, qui lui va se concentrer sur l'amélioration et l'application des politiques de santé et de sécurité dans les pays à revenus faibles et intermédiaires, constitue sans aucun doute un autre moment phare où des experts mondiaux partageront des stratégies et des expériences pour développer des programmes efficaces dont on peut tous s'inspirer à l'ère de la mondialisation et des changements majeurs qui touchent le monde du travail. Mesdames et Messieurs, c'est une belle opportunité que cet événement est lancé à 2 jours d'un moment historique où la plupart des pays, y compris le Maroc, célèbrent la fête des travailleurs, le 1er mai, rendez-vous annuel qui nous permet de nous questionner sur les acquis en matière de droits des travailleurs et les perspectives pour améliorer davantage leurs conditions de vie au travail. D'ailleurs, ces sujets s'inscrivent parfaitement au cœur des pourparlers que nous menons en ces moments au Maroc avec les partenaires sociaux dans le cadre du nouveau round du dialogue social du mois d'avril. Je rappelle à juste titre que le gouvernement marocain a fait le choix d'institutionnaliser ce dialogue social en signant la Charte nationale du dialogue social, parallèlement à la signature d'un accord historique avec les partenaires sociaux le 30 avril 2022, qui comporte des mesures claires, dont l'engagement pour la mise à niveau et la modernisation du cadre législatif et institutionnel pour la promotion davantage de l'État social. Mesdames et Messieurs, les accidents du travail et les maladies professionnelles demeurent un fléau malgré nos efforts, tuant chaque année environ 2,9 millions de personnes dans le monde. Il est fortement admis que chaque industrie présente des risques professionnels susceptibles d'affecter gravement la santé et le bien-être des travailleurs. Toutefois, ces risques peuvent être évités ou du moins atténuée en mettant en place un système de sécurité efficace et bien géré et en instaurant une culture de prévention des risques professionnels telle que définie par la Convention 187 de l'Organisation internationale du travail. Cette prévention des risques professionnels et l'amélioration des conditions de travail doivent être une priorité pour toute entreprise et avec elle, l'ensemble des acteurs du monde du travail, à savoir les instances gouvernementales, les organisations professionnelles, les syndicats et les assureurs. Bien sûr, il y a une responsabilité imminente des pouvoirs publics qui détient le pouvoir réglementaire et la capacité de contrôle, et des employeurs qui, eux, sont tenus de prendre les mesures nécessaires pour préserver la santé et la sécurité et la dignité des travailleurs. Mais cette question reste l'affaire de tous et cette priorité doit répondre à une double exigence. La première est morale et qui consiste à lutter pour un travail décent, respectueux des personnes qui l'accomplissent. La deuxième est une exigence d'efficacité économique. Ce lien entre le travail décent et la croissance économique n'est plus à démontrer. En effet, la consécration du travail décent dans ses diverses manifestations et objectifs au sein des politiques publiques et du cadre juridique est un facteur déterminant dans la réalisation du développement durable, tel que souligné notamment par l'objectif de développement durable numéro 8. Mesdames et messieurs, comme vous le savez, le 10 juin 2022, la Conférence internationale du travail a adopté lors de la 110e Conférence internationale du travail une résolution visant à ajouter la sécurité et la santé au travail au principe de droits fondamentaux au travail. Cette décision historique signifie que tous les États membres de l'OIT s'engagent à respecter le droit fondamental à un environnement de travail sûr et sain, qu'ils aillent ou non ratifier les conventions pertinentes. À cet égard, le gouvernement marocain, qui a ratifié la convention C87, a entamé la mise à niveau de son cadre normatif pour qu'il soit conforme aux dispositions de cette convention et des normes réglementaires internationales en la matière. Plusieurs actions ont été engagées dans ce sens, à savoir la mise à niveau continuelle des textes juridiques normatifs régissant ce domaine, l'institutionnalisation du dialogue social sur la santé et la sécurité au travail par le biais d'un organe tripartite consultatif qui est le Conseil de médecine du travail et la prévention des risques professionnels et d'un comité bipartite de sécurité et d'hygiène au sein des entreprises. La publication d'un arrêté fixant la liste des tableaux des maladies professionnelles qui est mise à jour continuellement, l'institutionnalisation de la mise en place de structures dédiées relevant du ministère dans la perspective du renforcement de l'effectivité du droit et de santé au travail dans la mise en place de l'Institut national des conditions de vie au travail, le renforcement du corps des responsables de l'inspection en la matière avec un engagement soutenu dans le développement de leurs capacités et compétences dans le domaine et la mise à disposition du public et des entreprises de plusieurs guides pour promouvoir la santé et la sécurité au travail. Malgré ces avancées, nous sommes encore appelés à relever des défis sur le terrain qui portent entre autres sur la mobilisation collective des acteurs pour une meilleure prise en charge des règles de santé et de sécurité au travail. La culture de la santé et de la sécurité au travail, ainsi que le dispositif de surveillance et de contrôle, gagnerait à être renforcé. Pour ce faire, le gouvernement poursuit l'élan de mise à niveau de sa politique en la matière, en harmonie avec la Convention C87 suscitée et conformément au développement législatif, aux réalisations que connaît notre pays dans tous les domaines économiques, sociaux, administratifs et autres, en vue de faire progresser les normes de santé et sécurité. Notre ambition est d'assurer une réforme globale du système de santé et de sécurité au travail, intégrée, fédératrice de tout l'écosystème, fondée sur l'innovation, la recherche et la mise à profit d'expériences réussies. Mesdames et messieurs, nous vivons dans un monde en perpétuel changement, du fait des innovations technologiques et des changements organisationnels, où sociaux et qui influencent notre avenir et font émerger de nouvelles conditions de travail et de nouvelles formes d'emploi. Ce contexte changeant impose aux autorités publiques, aux partenaires sociaux, aux employeurs et institutions spécialisées d'œuvrer ensemble à la sensibilisation à l'importance de la prévention des risques professionnels et d'accorder plus d'attention que jamais à la recherche en santé et sécurité sur les lieux de travail avec leurs différentes formes. Ce congrès, l'ICOH 2024, qui se déroule à un moment déterminant tant au niveau national qu'international, constitue ainsi une opportunité unique pour la collaboration et l'échange d'idées afin de mettre en évidence l'importance de la prévention des risques professionnels et de dégager des pistes à même de faire aboutir un programme cohérent et ambitieux en la matière et qui mobilise l'ensemble des forces vives d'une nation afin d'affronter les défis à venir. Pour terminer, je réitère l'engagement du gouvernement marocain à poursuivre ses efforts et à prendre toute l'initiative susceptible de renforcer la culture de prévention dans toutes ses dimensions. Et je souhaite, par la même occasion, le succès plein succès et réussite à ce congrès. Et je félicite encore une fois les organisateurs pour le choix à la fois de la thématique, mais aussi pour le choix du Maroc pour abriter ce 24e congrès, ce congrès de 2024. Merci encore une fois.
Merci, Madame la Secrétaire. Our next guest, Ms. Fanfan Rouado, serves as a Regional Director for Africa and Assistant Director General at the International Labour Organization. Please join me on the stage.
Mrs. Wafai El Asri, Secretary General in the Ministry of Economic Inclusion, Small Business, Employment and Skills. Professor Seong-Kyu Kang, President of the International Commission on Occupational Safety and Health. Professor Abdel Jalil El Kolti, ICOH 2024 President. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues and distinguished guests, all protocols observed. It is a profound honor to stand before you today at the opening of the ICOH Congress 2024. I want to thank ICOH for this invitation and put the emphasis on the historic collaboration between the International Labour Organization, ILO, and the International Commission on Occupational Safety and Health. This Congress serves as a vital platform for professionals, policy makers, and practitioners from around the globe to share insights, innovation, and strategies in the fields of occupational safety and health. The ILO has been at the forefront of OSH since its inception, recognizing that the protection of workers is not just a moral or legal obligation, but also an economic necessity. The guiding principle has always been clear and powerful. the right to a safe and healthy working environment is fundamental. This right was formally recognized and adopted by our constituent as the fifth pillar of fundamental rights at work during the 2021 International Labour Conference. This important milestone recognizes that OSH is not just limited to protecting workers, but it is a labor right of core importance and an indispensable part of the employment relationship. Moreover, the ILO continues to revise and enhance its international labor standards, ensuring that they remain relevant and are implemented effectively. This involves providing guidance, resources, and training to help countries adopt and enforce laws that meet the standards. Ladies and gentlemen, the ILO's initiative in Africa deserves special recognition. In this dynamic continent, the challenges of OSH are as diverse as they are pressing, encompassing issues from agricultural safety to industrial working conditions. Recognizing this, the ILO, through partnerships with African governments and regional bodies such as the African Union, international partners and sister agencies, scientific associations, and other stakeholders, has been instrumental in developing national OSH policies and frameworks that are culturally and economically appropriate to the context of each country. These collaborations aim to bolster legislative and regulatory environment, improve compliance, and enhance the capacities of local institutions. The ILO's commitment is also evident in its support for research and data collection to better understand and respond to the specific OSH challenges faced by African workers and workplaces. This data-driven approach helps tailor interventions that effectively reduce workplace hazards and improve health outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, in our ever-changing world of work, especially with rapid technological advancements and evolving workplace norms, the ILO's commitment to research and advocacy is crucial to tackle emerging challenges such as mental health issues, economic risk in increasingly digital workplaces, climate changes, and the complexities of occupational diseases. As we move forward, our journey towards achieving a world where every worker returns home safe and every day is far from complete. Collaboration is key. The ILO encourages a multidisciplinary approach involving governments, employers, workers, sister agencies, international partners, and other stakeholders to foster a culture of safety and health at every level. Let us take this opportunity at ICOH 2024 to strengthen our resolve and renew our commitment to OSH. Let us continue to learn from each other, share our successes, confront our challenges, and above all, work together for a safer, healthier future for all workers everywhere. Thank you for your dedication to the cause of occupational safety and health. I wish you all a productive and inspiring Congress. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss. Thank you. We continue our addresses with Ms. Maria Nera, Director of Department of Public Health and Environment at the World Health Congress Organization.
Good afternoon, bon après-midi, salam alaikum, everybody. Excellencies, authorities, it gives me a great pleasure to be here in Marrakech. And it's probably a signal, the fact that we are celebrating the first ever Congress in Africa. Maybe it's a signal. Maybe it's a signal because African continent is the one with young people with inspiration, people who wants to help us to go out of all of this crisis. So let's take this advantage of having this Congress here to take all of this positive energy coming from this continent. We are facing incredible crisis. The crisis of losing our biodiversity, the crisis of climate change, the crisis of pollution everywhere. We are, in addition, suffering big financial crisis as well, and conflict. And I think all of those crises are definitely not giving safe our workers. That's why this Congress has a special meaning. It's a pleasure to keep working with ICOH, who is the oldest, I understand the oldest, and it's not an insult. You are the oldest professional association, and for the World Health Organization, it has been a pleasure to be working with you for many, many years. I want to reassure you that we want to continue this excellent collaboration, of course, with all the partners, with ILO, with the rest of the professional associations, with all of those who are contributing to something which is, some people might consider very ambitious. For me, it's something absolutely basic, making sure that our workers are healthy, making sure that we create a healthier environment for them, and making sure that together we create the conditions for those workers to prevent, protect, and promote their health. Let me finish. I'm sure that you are all very anxious to start the Congress and discussions, but let me congratulate, of course, Professor El Khoury for leading this organization of this Congress here in Marrakech. Of course, Professor Seon Q. Kang, the president of ICOH. Of course, Diana Gallardi, Secretary General, Madam Representative Minister, dear colleagues from ILO, all of you, congratulations, and let's go for something that I'm sure will be very successful, hopefully providing a lot of good recommendation on how to use the research to advance on this agenda that is very challenging, but it requires a lot of knowledge, and I'm sure that the knowledge is here. Shukran. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Nera. Now, let's welcome together Mr. Karim Sheikh from the General Confederation of Moroccan Company, who represent the private labor sector and head of CGM Human Capital Commission.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, authorities, all protocols respected. Dear colleagues from ILO, from ICO President, ICO board members, ICO colleagues and collaborators, dear friends. I'm Dr. Elisabeth Weiderpas, the director of the International Agency for Research on Cancer of the World Health Organization, or IARC for short. And I would like first to thank Dr. Professor El-Kholti, ICO 2024 President, and Professor Kamal Wifak, National Scientific Committee Chair, for inviting me to give this keynote lecture on global cancer burden due to occupational exposures. I have no conflicts of interest to disclose. Let me start with a few words on IARC's mission, because not all of you might be familiar with the institution. IARC has a unique dual position as an independent international cancer research institute and as the specialized cancer research agency of the World Health Organization within the United Nations system. And I would like to particularly greet my colleagues from WHO here present today working in this area of occupational health. From its inception in 1965, IARC's role was to foster global collaboration in cancer research. It was initially established by 7 countries, and it has since grown to have 27 participating states. And Morocco has joined IARC in 2015, strengthening our capacity in international cooperation. The agency is interdisciplinary, bringing together skills in cancer surveillance, epidemiology, toxicology, occupational health and medicine, laboratory sciences and biostatistics to monitor the global burden of cancer and identify the causes of cancer, including occupational exposures, so that preventative strategies may be adopted and the burden of disease reduced. IARC conducts research in low and middle-income countries through partnerships and collaborations with researchers in this region. The close working relationship between IARC and its parent organization, the World Health Organization, allows the research findings of the agency to be translated effectively into timely policies for cancer control. IARC conducts research that provides the scientific evidence base for the development of cancer prevention and control policies. And the World Health Organization effectively translates the scientific evidence of the agency into timely policies for cancer control. This is manifest, for example, in cooperation in terms of reduction of tobacco use, implementation of vaccination against viruses associated with cancer causation, or in assessing the effectiveness of intervention strategies. The global cancer estimates for year 2022, where the most recent data we have, were launched in February this year, online in our website of the IARC's Global Cancer Observatory, which includes facilities for the tabulation and graphical visualization of the GloboCan database for 185 countries and 36 cancers by age and sex. And you all can access this resource in the website. There were 20 million new cancer cases and almost 10 million new cancer-related deaths worldwide in 2022. Lung cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer worldwide in men, followed by prostate, colorectal, and stomach cancers. Breast cancer is the most commonly diagnosed cancer in women, followed by lung, colorectal, and cervical cancers. Lung cancer is also the leading cause of cancer death in men, while breast cancer is the leading cause of cancer-related mortality in women. Globally, the total number of new cancer cases is expected to increase from 20 million in year 2022 to an estimated 35.3 million by year 2050. The greatest increases are expected to occur in low and middle-income countries. Such inequalities can only be expected to grow unless resource-dependent, effective, and cost-effective preventive interventions are urgently implemented. In terms of mortality, the number of cancer deaths is expected to increase from 10 million in year 2022 to an estimated 18.5 million in year 2050. The greatest increase, again, is predicted in low and middle-income countries. Access to appropriate, affordable, and equitable treatment will also be crucial, in particularly in these settings where the availability nowadays is inappropriate. Which cancers are preventable? In this slide, the green color will indicate the most common cancers and their proportion potentially preventable from changes in currently established risk factors and prevented factors. Some cancers are 75 to 100% preventable. These include cervical cancer, 100% preventable, lung cancer, at least 90% preventable, oral cavity, pharynx, and larynx, at least 90% preventable, esophageal cancer, squamous cell, 90% preventable, melanoma of the skin, between 80 and 90% preventable, stomach cancer, 75% preventable, and then in the middle column, cancer types that are between 25 and 55% preventable, colon and rectal cancer, 55% preventable, bladder cancer, 40% preventable, kidney cancer, 40% preventable, liver cancer, at least 40% preventable, and breast cancer after menopause, at least 25% preventable. Then, on the right-hand side, you have the cancer types that are not, we don't know so much about that, but we know that at least 20% are preventable. These include ovary, leukemias, non-Hodgkin lymphoma, prostate cancer, and brain cancer. There is a lack of data on risk factors for these latest cancers I just mentioned, and research on etiological factors should be fostered. Now to the occupational cancer part. Among causes of cancer, occupational carcinogens have been shown to cause a considerable disease burden at national and global level. One of the latest analyses of this issue at the global level was from Dr. Driscoll and colleagues, published in year 2020. It provides an analysis of populational attributable fractions, or PAF, for occupational carcinogens. The International Agency for Research on Cancer Group 1 occupational carcinogens are 14 and accounted for almost 4% of the worldwide cancer deaths, about 350,000. Main occupational cancers were lung, about 300,000 or 86% of the occupational-related deaths from cancer, mesothelioma, over 27,000 deaths or almost 80% of all deaths, laryngeal cancer, 7,300 deaths, about 2%, and leukemias, 2,500 deaths. Asbestos was responsible for the largest numbers of deaths due to occupational carcinogens, about 63%. And other important risk factors were second-hand smoking, 14%, silica exposure, 14%, and diesel engine exhausted, at least 5%. The analysis would have been greater if Group 2A, or probable carcinogens to humans of the IARC classification, would have been included in this study, for example, by exposure to shift work or pesticides. According to the recent IARC and World Health Organization joint estimates, 1.6 billion people of working age, that means 15 years or above, were exposed to solar ultraviolet radiation while working outdoors in 2019, equivalent to 28% of all working age people. The estimates establish occupational exposure to solar ultraviolet radiation as the work-related risk factor with the third highest attributable burden of cancer deaths globally. Globally, in 2019, an estimated total of 65,440 non-melanoma skin cancers-related deaths occurred. In 2019 alone, almost 19,000 people in 183 countries died from non-melanoma skin cancers due to having working outdoors in the sun. The population attributable fraction to occupational exposure to UV radiation was 29%, almost 30%. And the majority of these cases, 65%, were males, in men. Between year 2000 and 2019, skin cancer deaths attributable to occupational exposure to sunlight almost double, increasing by 88% from 10,000 deaths in year 2000 to over 18,000 deaths in 2019. From this research, the World Health Organization calls for more action to protect workers from hazardous outdoor work in the sunlight. As skin cancer develops after years or even decades of exposure, workers must be protected from solar ultraviolet radiation at work from young working ages and always throughout their lives. On the basis of the recommendations of an independent advisory group of international experts, the IARC monographs identify environmental factors that are carcinogenic hazards to humans. These include chemicals, complex mixtures, occupational exposures, physical agents, biological agents, and lifestyle factors. Since 1971, more than 1,000 agents have been evaluated. National health agencies can use this information as scientific support for their actions to prevent exposure to potential carcinogenics. Interdisciplinary working groups of expert scientists review the published studies and assess the strength of available evidence that an agent can cause cancer in humans. The principles, procedures, and scientific criteria that guide the evaluations are described in the preamble of the IARC monographs available online. The experts also critically review 3 different types of data: epidemiological studies on cancer in humans exposed to different agents, experimental studies on cancer in laboratory animals treated with the agents, and studies on whether the agent has any of the recognized key characteristics of human carcinogens. The working group classifies an agent into one of 4 categories, ranging from carcinogenic to humans, group 1, and we have 128 agents in this category currently, probably carcinogenic to humans, group 2A, and we have 95 currently, possibly carcinogenic to human substances, group 2B, and we have 323 agents in that category, and to not classifiable as to its carcinogenicity to humans, or group 3, and currently we have 500 substances in that category. The categories of the classification indicate the strength of the evidence as to whether an agent is capable of causing cancer, which is technically called hazard in English. But it does not measure the likelihood that that cancer occurs, technically called risk in English, at that particular level of exposures. This terminology, hazard or risk, can sometimes be confused in different languages because they are the same terminology. Group 1, when the agent is carcinogenic to humans. This category is used when there is sufficient evidence of carcinogenicity in humans. In other words, when there is convincing evidence that the agent causes cancer in humans. And the evaluation is usually based on the results of epidemiological studies showing development of cancer in exposed humans in real settings. Agents can also be classified as group 1 on the basis of sufficient evidence of carcinogenicity in experimental animals, supported by strong evidence in exposed humans that the agent exhibits one or more of the recognized key characteristics of human carcinogens. Group 1 occupational carcinogens in recent past evaluations. So previous studies of workers have had a major role in identifying human carcinogens. Of 128 group 1 carcinogens, 60 are classified based on occupational studies with sufficient evidence of cancer in humans. These 60 include some occupations or industries considered to cause cancer without identifying a specific agent. For example, exposure as a painter or a firefighter. In this table are listed group 1 occupational carcinogens and cancer sites with sufficient evidence. Most common cancer types with sufficient evidence are physical agents, dust, fibers, and metal groups that are in the respiratory tracts. And these slides will be made available for you if you wish to reproduce them in your own lectures or when you are teaching your students, of course. Most common cancer sites with sufficient evidence are from chemical groups, are in the lung, liver, bladder, skin, lymphatic, and hematopoietic system. Occupational circumstances can be important causes of specific cancer types. Here, we see the percentage of agents have either sufficient or limited evidence for cancer in humans by type of agent. Just over half of all known or suspected lung carcinogens are particles or fibers, PIH-related or metals, while just over half of known or suspected bladder carcinogens result from occupational circumstances, dyes, and industrial chemicals. Here are some recent evaluations of occupational exposures by the IARC Monographs program. Occupational exposure as firefighters has been classified as carcinogenic to humans, group 1 in 2022. Cancer types with sufficient evidence for cancers in humans are also mesothelioma and bladder cancer. Firefighters may be exposed to combustion products from fires, for example, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons and particulate matters, building materials, for example, asbestos, chemicals in firefighting foams, for example, per and polyfluorinated substances, flame retardants, diesel exhaust, as well as other hazards, for example, night shift work and ultraviolet light and other radiation exposures. Perfluooctanoic acid, or PFOA, has been classified as a carcinogenic to human, group 1, in 2023, based on sufficient evidence for cancer in experimental animals and strong mechanistic evidence. There was also limited evidence for cancer in humans, for renal cell carcinoma and testicular cancer, and strong mechanistic evidence in human primary cells and experimental systems. Perfluooctane sulfonic acid, or PFOS, has been classified as possibly carcinogenic to humans, group 2B, based on strong mechanistic evidence in humans exposed. Exposures are expected to be highest among workers involved in producing PFOA or PFOS, or using these chemicals directly in the manufacture of other products. Since restrictions on the use of these agents in some countries came into effect, occupational exposures is likely to have decreased, although it's likely to be continuing in countries that have not yet introduced any restrictions. There is a continuing exposure in waste management, in particularly among workers in waste management sites. Here is the list of Group 2 occupational agents classified by the IARC Monographs program, and they include petroleum and refining exposures, art glass manufacturing, exposure as a hairdresser or barber, carbon electrode manufacture, bitumen emissions during roofing, glyphosate, some industrial chemicals, and night shift work, which is in Group 2A, as shown in the infographics on the right. Night shift work includes both working at night and working in a job that involves rapidly crossing many time zones, in particularly people working in airspace. And then also some aromatic amines. Here is a brief look at the breadth of recent carcinogenicity evaluation by the IARC Monographs program. And this figure can also be downloaded from our website because it's very comprehensive. Just in the past 10 years, 133 environmentally relevant agents have been evaluated or re-evaluated. This schema shows their classification, with Group 1 in the center and moving outward to Group 3 at the periphery. They are grouped by agent type and colored by evidence stream contributing to the evaluation. Notably, nearly all Group 1 agents have contributions from multiple streams of evidence. It's quite rare for a human cancer evidence to form the sole basis of an evaluation, as shown in red in this figure. PFOA and electromagnetic fields are two examples of this. In Group 2A, there are numerous instances of limited human cancer evidence, combining with either mechanistic or bioassay evidence. Nearly all these evaluations were based on occupational cancer epidemiological studies. So the evidence from occupational health is absolutely fundamental for the classification of carcinogenicity here. Agents in Groups 2A to 3 are recommended as targets for future epidemiological research. So if you need to list what you should be researching for in the next years or decades, the substances in Groups 2A and 3 are our strongest recommendations. The results of the recent meeting of the advisory group to recommended priorities for the IARC monographs during years 25 to 29 has now been published on the Lancet Oncology in the beginning of April. The advisory group of experts consider more than 200 candidates, including infectious agents, biotoxins, complex exposures, particles and fibers, metals, pharmaceuticals, physical agents, and a wide variety of chemicals. Among occupational exposures, some have been previously evaluated by IARC monographs programs, and new evidence warrants re-evaluation of the classification, including textile manufacturing industry work, pesticides, chlordecone, a variety of chemicals. While some have already been evaluated and classified as Group 1 carcinogens, but evidence has been accumulated for additional and new cancer sites, and these include exposures to tobacco smoking and second-hand smoking, including in occupational settings, silica dust, asbestos, radon and its decay products, and aflatoxins. You will get more detailed information about this at Dr. Mari Schubauer-Beringen's presentation in room SS24 on Tuesday, 30th of April at 1:30 p.m. in Karan 3. The Environmental and Lifestyle Epidemiology branch at IARC mainly conducts two types of research on occupational cancers. Here, we show a few examples of each type. Some studies were conducted to study occupational cancers specifically, while others were conducted for other purposes but collected occupational data in a systematic manner. The following slides focus on two studies, the Synergy Project and the Asbestos Chrysotile Cohort. And I greet here the colleagues from the Russian Federation that helped us conduct this study. They should be present in the audience today. The Synergy is a collaborative project on lung cancer with the objective to study joint effects of asbestos, chromium, nickel, PIHs, silica, and smoking. IARC and partner institutions analyzed data from over 16,000 lung cancer cases and over 20,000 control subjects collected over 15 years by scientists not only from IARC but also from Canada and 13 countries in Europe. Many of the colleagues are also present here today, and I greet them warmly. The researchers estimate the effect that the exposure to the two carcinogens would have on lung cancer risk. They did this for each possible pairing from a group of 5 major occupational lung carcinogens: asbestos, respirable crystalline silica, nickel, chromium-6, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, or PIHs, while also taking into consideration cigarette smoking in the analysis. The results indicate that whereas occupational co-exposure to some known lung carcinogenesis increased workers' risk of developing lung cancer in a way that's generally in line with the combined increased risk of individual agents, some co-exposures created a synergistic effect that increased the risk by more than the combination of exposures. A stronger effect than the sum of individual risks was observed for lung adenocarcinoma for chromium-6 and silica exposure among men, and for small cell lung cancer for silica and joint exposures with asbestos, PIH, or chromium-6 among women. These results underline the importance of eliminating or reducing exposures to carcinogens in workplaces and in the general environment. And these results were published this year in the Journal of Environmental and Health Perspectives, and they are available as open access if you are interested in reading the details. Another unique study is the asbestos chrysotile cohort study. The findings on cancer mortality from the historic cohort study of workers in the world's largest chrysotile asbestos mine and its enrichment factories in Asbest Town, Russian Federation, were published in the Journal of National Cancer Institute in the USA in January 2024. The study was based on companies' employment records of all workers who had, after 1975, worked for at least 1 year in any enterprise of the mine or its factories. All of those enterprises had systematic stationary dust measurement surveillance. The cohort includes over 30,000 workers, 32% were women, of whom 54% had worked for more than 30 years in the mine or enrichment factories. Court members were followed up for vital status and cause of death until 2015. Mesothelioma mortality strongly increased with higher cumulative exposure levels, based on 13 deaths from this cause overall. None of those deaths occurred among workers in the lowest exposure categories. There was increasing mortality from lung cancer in men with increasing cumulative exposure, with a 40% higher risk of dying from lung cancer in the highest percentage of cumulative exposure. In women, based on much smaller numbers of deaths from lung cancer, the association was less strong. Inconsistent associations were seen between cumulative exposure and mortality from colorectal cancer and stomach cancer. No increase in mortality was seen for laryngeal cancer or ovarian cancer. This study confirms that exposure to dust containing chrysotile mined in the world's largest active asbestos mine increases the risk of developing cancer in a dose-dependent manner. This was confirmed for mesothelioma and lung cancer. For lung cancer, it suggests an interplay with other lung carcinogens, especially tobacco smoking and perhaps also other occupational exposure, which may be why the increased risk was clearer in men and a lower exposure level in women. To conclude, occupational carcinogens have been shown to cause a considerable cancer burden at global level. The burden of occupational cancer has increased considerably over the last 2.5 decades, particularly due to aging, changes in the proportion of workers exposed, and population increases with rates increasing from some exposures and not for others. Occupational exposures are regenerably modifiable, and therefore occupational cancers are preventable. The important role of asbestos, diesel engine exhaust, second-hand smoke, and silica is highlighted in terms of occupational cancer burden. Many open questions remain on the exposure response and low-level effects of many occupational carcinogens. There is a lack of study in low- and middle-income country settings with possibly higher exposure levels, less worker protection, younger age at first exposure, and more working hours. There is a need for urgent interventions to alleviate the global burden of occupational exposure to carcinogens, in particularly asbestos. The IARC Monographs program is supported by grants from the US National Cancer Institute since year 82, the European Commission, DG Employment, Social Affairs and Inclusion since year 86, and the US National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences since year 1992. And I thank this sponsor for the decades of support to the program. And I wish to thank you all for listening to me and for the organizers for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Witherbest. Thank you, everyone. Now I give the floor to my colleague, Gianna Gagliardi, General Secretary of ICOH.
Good evening, distinguished authorities, guests, ICOH members, ICOH friends. I'm really honored to introduce you to this last part of the opening ceremony that is a very special part that ICOH cares for, and it is the awarding of the Lifetime Achievement Award. So since a few years and few terms now, ICOH is awarding one of its esteemed members this award to recognize specific contribution to occupational health at global level and also contribution to ICOH as an organization. This year, ICOH is going to award this Lifetime Achievement Award to our good friend, mentor for many of us, leader in occupational health for many years, great contributor to ICO, Dr. Marilyn Fingerhat. To celebrate this, unfortunately, Marilyn cannot be here with us, but she is online, so she is following the opening ceremony, and she will be able to greet us at the end of a small video that we have produced to celebrate her working life and her contribution to occupational health and ICO. So please, can you play the video?
introduce her. Here she is.
Here she is. Marilyn is online. Do you hear us?
Hello, hello, this is Marilyn. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, very well.
Oh, good.
So the floor is yours,
Yeah.
Marilyn.
The floor is yours. You can talk.
Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, my heavens, Diana, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate all that you have done putting all these things together, and that all of my friends and colleagues from my various career times over the years have sent to us and provided to you. And I really, my heart is, I have tears in my eyes just watching this. But so let me first greet all of the attendees at this lovely Marrakech Congress, ICOH Congress. And I am so sorry that I'm not with you in person, but health issues have prevented me from traveling. I cannot express how honored and excited I feel to receive the ICOH Lifetime Achievement Award. It is just fantastic. I received the beautiful plaque from ICOH and opened it with tears and happiness. It is in our living room where my husband David and I see it and admire it every single day. I've been a member of ICOH for very many decades and have attended most of the congresses. So I think you understand how sad I am to not be there in person with you. In addition to listening to the wonderful presentations of our international ICOH experts from around the world, at the congresses, I always loved, my special thing was visiting, connecting, and reconnecting with colleagues and friends that many of whom I have known for decades and worked with or had fun with or both. And I want to just express how appreciative I am for all of you and all of those people I have known over the past decades. I also enjoyed being vice president for ICOH for 2 terms by serving on the board and being involved in the scientific committees. Now, at the congresses, my favorite activities, reconnecting, but also I really loved participating in the student poster competition and looking at the poster displays and talking with people. It's so, so wonderful. I will always be an ICOH member, and I really hope that I will be able to participate in future congresses. I want to give special thanks to, of course, our wonderful secretary, Diana Gagliardi, and the ICOH staff who have done so much to put all this together. Also to our dear President Sung-Kyu Kang, our vice presidents, Claudina Nagara and Martin Hogan, and all of my friends who have served in these positions in earlier years, particularly Jorma Rantanen and Suvi Rantanen from Finland, and all the staff of ICOH. And actually, I really, really appreciate all ICOH members. And so I so greatly appreciate you. And my heart, I'm there in spirit. My heart is with you. Thank you so much for this.
Thank you, Marilyn. Big applause.
Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
It's exciting.
I love this woman. I love this woman.
Yes, I do the same. So, we can close, I think.
thank you, Marilyn. We missed you this year, when we hope we're gonna see each other soon.
Me too.
In the spirit of unity and progress, let's embark together on this journey, on this Congress, with enthusiasm and shared our vision of occupational health and safety. Thank you, everyone. There is a lot of people. Thank you, everyone. And you are welcome for our tour and cocktail by the pool in the Movenpick. Thank you so much.